All right, and we are live. Okay, lesson 7 is addition and subtraction of rational numbers. And as I said just a minute ago, rational numbers include fractions and decimals. Some decimals. Okay, standards. We are still working on the same top 2, applying properties of operations to add and subtract rational numbers, including real-world context, in other words, word problems. And we still will be using a number line to show how we'll be adding and subtracting the rational numbers. This third standard deals with multiplication and division. That's going to be our next unit, or next part of this unit. Okay, so our first example, we have, suppose a 7th grader's birthday is today, and she is 12 years old. That's actually not very accurate because most of you, when you have your birthdays, you turn 13 during the course of your 7th grade year. But anyhow, so that problem is kind of wrong. Yeah, but you guys aren't technically 7th graders. So anyhow, we're going to suppose that a 7th grader's birthday is today. We'll suppose that maybe Violet and Ailey were actually allowed to skip a grade, so they're really 7th graders. So I guess that could happen. How old was she, it's even a girl, 3.5 years ago? Write an equation and use a number line to model your answer. So I want you to take just a couple minutes to do this problem on your own, the way that we've been doing problems. We haven't done a whole lot with fractions on the number line, but I think you can handle that, and then we're going to talk about it. Again, can I have a volunteer who would like to come up and draw on the board and show me what you did with your number line? Okay, let's see. Adrian.
It's probably wrong. So start at 12, right? So frog right here.
Okay, so Adria, you actually did it the way that we're going to be doing it today. You started at 12 and went that way. Did anybody else do it differently? Sky, how did you do it?
I went from 0 to 12.
Okay, went from 0 to 12. So we've been doing this 2 ways actually. Mostly in class, we've been starting at 0. We go to the first number, and then we go to the second number. On Get More Math, that's how Adria did it. Adria started here. The only thing I would change about Adria's model is this wouldn't have an arrow on the end of it. You only want one arrow. So I would change this to be just a ray that actually starts at 12. So she's 12 years old, so we're starting at 12. 3.5 years ago, we have to subtract 3.5. So if we go 1, 2, 3, plus another half, that takes us to 8.5. Okay, any questions about that? Jake?
If she's 12 years old and it's her birthday, shouldn't she be turning 13?
Well, if her birthday is today, then she is 12 today.
They
So,
kind of work.
like on your birthday, you don't usually say, hey, I'm going to be whatever age today. You usually just say, I'm this age today, right? So today is her birthday, and she's 12. So don't make it too complicated. All right, this is what I want to look at now. This is basically what we just talked about. It goes through kind of a list of how to do this. It's taking the same problem that you just did and just giving you the steps. Place the tail of the arrow on 12. That's what Adria did. The length of the arrow is the absolute value of negative 3.5. So it was 3.5 units long to the left. And well, it already says that. The direction of the number is to the left since you are adding a negative number. So I'm not going to draw it here since we already did it that way. But if you did it with 2 arrows, I want you to just draw it just using 1 arrow on this number line so you have a representation of that. Okay, we'll look at example 2 and we'll actually do it that way. So exercise 2 says find the following sum using a number line diagram. We're going to do this the new way, the Get More Math way. We're going to start at negative 2.5. Now, where's negative 2.5? I'm going to give you 2 choices. Choice 1 is here. Choice 2 is here. Is negative 3.5 to the left of negative 3 which is choice 1, or to the right of -3, which is choice 2. Show me with either one finger or two finger where you think -3.5 is located.
Oh, 3.5.
Oh, I'm sorry, -2.5. All right. So let me change my number. Let me put 1 over here. There we go. All right. Now, is -2.5 at point 2 or at point 1? Yes. Okay, that's what I wanted to see. It's just different. All right, good. Most people are showing me point 2. It is at point 2 because this would be going 1 unit past, 2 units past, another half unit past takes us to here. So that is where -2.5 is. So I'm going to start at that point. And I usually like to actually, if I'm starting at a point that's not listed on the number line, I write it in so that I remember what that point is. And then we're adding 5. So we're going to go 5 units to the right. So when we're starting on half, we have to count from one half point or one midpoint to the next. So we would go, I'm going to use dots so that people watching the video can see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 would take us that. Did I do that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. Yes. No. We're starting at -2.5. 2. No, we're not going 5.5. We're just going 5. What am I doing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're stopping here. I hate Mondays. All right, so we're going from -2.5. 5 units to the right takes us to +2.5. Okay, any questions about that? Okay, let's look at example 2. It says find the following difference and represent it on a number line, and you can use the number line that's down here. So, first I'm going to find the difference without using a number line. So I'm going to think 1 plus -2 and 1/4. If I have 1 of something and I take away 2, let's just forget about the 4th for a minute. What if I take away 2 from 1? What do I have? -1. So if I take away another 4th, what do I have now? No, I'm taking away another 4th. Let's actually look at this on the number line. I'll feel better if we can see it. I'm going to label this 0, half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. I'll make this be -half, -1, -1.5, etc. Okay, so if I'm starting at 1, here I am starting here, and I'm going to go 2 and 1/4 units to the left. So I need to go 1 whole unit, another whole unit, plus 1/4 of a unit, which would take me to this point. So my arrow would go from here to here. So 1 minus 2 gives me -1. When I take away another 4th, I'm still going to the left. So I want to end up with a number that is more negative than the previous number. So the answer would be -1 and 1/4. Okay, the steps, this is if you were to write out the steps, you would place, let's do this the shortest way possible, the tail of the arrow. Let's just say the tail on 1. Length is the absolute value of -2 and 1/4, which is just 2 and 1/4. And the last thing, the direction, is to the left. You could write it out in big long sentences if you want, but that's the general gist of it. You guys do pretty well with making number lines. Okay, any questions about anything I've done up there? Okay, we're going to do one more together, and then there's a series that you guys are going to work on independently. So exercise 3 asks you to find the following difference and represent it on a number line. How would I rewrite this problem using addition? Eve, how would I rewrite this using addition? It's exercise 3 on your.
Negative 5.5 plus 8.
Okay, negative 5.5 plus 8. So when we rewrite them, we don't change the sign of the first number ever. We change subtraction to addition, and we make this the opposite. So since it was negative 8, we're adding a positive 8. Okay, what's this going to look like on the number line? Zoe, tell me what I should do on the number line.
Start from 0, go to 5.5.
Go to 5.5, so go here.
To the left.
To the left, 5.5. Okay, so we're going to go 5.5 units to the left. I'm actually not going to draw that arrow. I'm just going to start there. Okay, so I'm going to go, I'll just trace the number line here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. So I'm going to start my arrow here. And then what should I do?
And then 8 units to the right.
Good, 8 units to the right. So again, I'm just going to use my number line to count. I'm going to go to the halfway point. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to end up here. Sometimes I usually count on the number line first so that I draw my arrow to the right place. Otherwise, it can be a little confusing. Okay, so we end up at, this point would be 2.5. So negative 5.5 plus 8 is 2.5. Okay, exercise 4 has a variety of sums and differences. If you have a subtraction problem, rewrite it as addition first. And remember that subtracting is the same as adding a positive. So go ahead and do exercise 4. And then if you finish that and we have not reconvened as a group yet, go ahead and try exercise 5 as well. Okay, we're going to go over these. It looks like most of you have made good progress toward getting them done. McKenna, letter A. Can you tell me what I should do on the number line?
You go left to negative 6.
Okay, I'm going to start there, and then what do I do?
You add 5 9/4.
Okay, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Plus, I need to go a little further, so I'm going to be about here. What is that point where you ended up, McKenna?
Negative 3 4.
Good, negative 3/4.
Yes.
How many of you got negative 3/4 for that? Okay, good. If you did not get negative 3/4, do you understand what you did wrong to not get negative 3/4? Any questions about that? Okay, let's take a look at the next one. Pat, the next one is subtraction, so we're going to rewrite that to addition. What would that be as an addition problem?
It would be 7 plus 0.9.
Okay, and what would that look like on the number line?
You would start at 7,
Okay, so I'm going to use my same number line here. Start at 7 and do what?
and then you add, like, just right before the 8, like,
Okay, get up till about right before the 8, and what would that point be?
that would be 0.9.
0.9. So you're going 9/10 of the way between 7 and 8. So if you're imagining this subdivided into 10 units, you're traveling 9 of those units. So you get 7.9. How many of you got that one correct? Okay, good. All right, next one. Riley, did we need to rewrite this one? No, it's addition, so we can leave it like that. What should I do on the number line?
Start at 7.
No, we're doing letter C.
Oh. You start at 2.5.
2.5. And where is that? Is 2.5 between 1 and 2, or is it between 2 and 3?
2 and 3.
Between 2 and 3. Okay, then what do we do?
Go to the left a half.
Okay, that's a nice easy one. Where do we end up?
2.
At 2. How many of you got that one right? That one should be pretty easy to do without the number line. You have 2.5, you get rid of a half, so you have 2. All right, letter D. Brayden. Do I have to rewrite this one?
No.
Okay, what do I do?
You start from 0 and you go down. You subtract all 1/4.
Okay, subtract 1/4, so we're actually going to start there. So where would that be on the number line? How would you describe?
Negative 1 0.
middle of negative 1 and 0? No, the middle of negative 1 and 0 would be a half. So where would a fourth be? If this dot is a half,
A little bit closer to 0.
closer to 0, like between the dot and this, it's actually going to be right in the middle. 1/4 is half of a half, so it would be halfway between 1/2 and 0. Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're at negative 1/4, and then what do we do?
Add 4.
Okay, add 4. And when you're doing that, when you're starting with a fraction already, I want to go to that point each time I count 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to end up there. What number is that where I ended up in?
It's 3, 4.
Good. 3 3/4. And that one, if I were doing this, I would change this in my mind. Instead of negative 1/4 plus 4, I would change it around and think, well, what's 4 minus 1/4? If you have 4 holes, you take away a fourth, you still have the 3 holes left plus 3/4. Okay, letter E. Katie, do I need to rewrite this? Okay, what would it be when I rewrite it?
Negative half.
No, this one never changes its sign. The first one stays the same.
Positive.
Okay, so
Positive half plus 3.
plus 3. Good. Okay, and what would that look like on the number line?
You would start at the 1/2,
Okay, so we're going to start at 1/2.
and then you would go over like this.
Okay, so I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3. Show that with an arrow. Where do I end up then?
3.5.
3.5. And that's a pretty easy one to do without a number line too, because if you have half plus 3, you have 3.5. That's what 3.5, the mixed number 3.5 means, 3 plus 1/2. Okay, did anybody go on to exercise 5? Okay, some of you did. The bell's going to ring, so I do want to just go over these together. All right, Samantha owes her father $7. She just got paid $5.50 for babysitting. If she gives that money to her dad, how much will she still owe him? So we need to write an equation first. Irene, are you asking a question or volunteering?
Both.
Okay, can you tell me what equation you would write?
Okay, so I did 7. Or,
Well-
fill it up. I can't speak. Yeah, 7.
Wait,
So
if she
$7.
owes her father money, though, let's think of it in terms of what
Ah.
she owes rather than what her father's getting.
So negative $7.
Negative 7, starting with negative 7.
Plus $5.50.
Good, plus $5.50. So what would that look like on the number line?
You would start at negative 7 and then you'd be going over 5.5.
Good,
You
so
would end
1,
at
2, 3, 4, 5.5. And what is that number?
That is $1.50.
Negative 1.5. So she's still, you would say she will still owe $1.50. And when we say how much she still owes, we don't have to use the negative sign because saying the word owe is the same as using the negative sign. All right, take your break. We'll go over the last two. Oh, thank you. I'll pause the recording. So just to sum up this problem, because the bell was ringing and some of you, your attention was gone, we end up with an answer of negative 1.50. So when we give our summary sentence, we say she will still owe $1.50. You don't have to say she'll still owe negative $1.50. That's like a double negative. It's like in English, you know how you don't say, I don't have no candy. You wouldn't say that, because if you say, I don't have no candy, it actually means that you have candy. It's the same way here. If we say she will still owe negative 150, it means she really doesn't owe. She really has it. Okay? Push Chromebooks, please. Okay, next problem. At the start of a trip, a car's gas tank contains 12 gallons of gasoline. During the trip, the car consumes 10 1/8 gallons of gasoline. how much gasoline is left in the tank. Katie, how might I write an equation for this?
You would do 12 plus negative 10 and 1/8.
Excellent. 12 plus negative 10 and 1/8. When we're starting out, the gas tank contains 12, that's positive. If it consumes 10 and a half, it's using up gas or taking it. Yeah, what did I say?
10 and a half.
Yeah, I meant 10 and 1/8. If it consumes 10 and 1/8, it's taking it away. It's going away. All right, to solve this, let's see. Ailey, how would I use the number line to solve this?
You would start at 12.
Well, that's a little bit of a problem on this number line, isn't it? So let's just add in. Here's 11. I have to use a white one. Okay, here's 12. Why isn't that showing up? There we go. There's 12. Okay, so I'm going to start at 12.
Then you would go backwards. You would go left 10 and 1/8.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I need to change the color of my pen. And 1/8 would take me maybe here. What would that number be?
1 and 7.
Good, it would be 1 7/8. If I went 1/8 past the 2, there are still 7 of them left. So that would be 1 7/8. So we would answer the question by saying 1 7/8 gallons of, I'm just going to say gas, are left in the tank. Okay, any questions about that one? Okay, one more. A fish was swimming 3.5 feet below the water's surface at 7 o'clock a.m. 4 hours later, the fish was at a depth that is 5 1/4 feet below where it was at 7 o'clock a.m. What rational number represents the position of the fish with respect to the water's surface at 11 o'clock a.m.? Whew, that has a lot of numbers. You really have to think about what that problem is asking. I think for this one, I drew a horizontal number line, but I think this is a good problem for a vertical number line. Because anytime it's talking about above and below, it's kind of nice if you have a positive representation. And since we're talking about water, I'm going to just draw, here's the water. Isn't that nice water? So that point where the water is would be 0. Okay? Now, it says the fish was swimming 3.5 feet below the water's surface. So I'm going to go down to -1, -2, -3, here's -4. So here's where the fish is, right at this dot right here. I should draw a fish, but I think you're better off if I just draw a dot. Okay, now it says 4 hours later. So what time would it be 4 hours later? It would be 11. So what it's asking us at the end is what we're talking about here. 4 hours later, the fish was at a depth that is 5 1/4 feet below where it was at 7 a.m. So Dakota, what am I going to do now on the number line?
Go down 5 1/4.
Good. It's 5 1/4 feet lower than the point where it was, so I'm going to go down 5 1/4. So let me draw some more numbers here. Let's see. -5, -6, -7, -8, -9 should be enough. Okay, so I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That takes me to -8.5. Plus I'm going to go another 4th. What would this point be, Grace?
8 3/4.
Negative 8 3/4. Yes, -8 3/4. So what would that equation look like? This one, I thought it was easier if we just did the number line first because it's easier to visualize. Devin, what equation could I write?
-3.5
Good.
plus -5 1/4.
Good. And then we got an answer of -8 3/4. So to answer that, it just asks what rational number represents the position of the fish. You could say the fish was 8 3/4 feet below the surface of the water. And again, you can express it positively here because you're using the word below, which is the same meaning as negative. Okay, any questions? Okay, Devin?
Was that fish just cruising on down, or was he actually like wolfing down?
I don't know. Well,
It was 4
it was 4 hours, so my guess would be that he was cruising, although he could have been at that one position the whole 4 hours and then gone and swum down. We don't know what the fish was doing, so it's irrelevant to the answer. It's still the same answer.
Wait, can you draw a little, like, a fish?
Can I draw a little fish? Oh my gosh, what are you asking me? There we go. It'll be like a fishy cracker. It looks like a fishy. There we go. Draw a little pin up there too. There's my fish. All right, your assignment is to do all of the problem set. There are only 6 problems. It asks you to represent them using both a number line diagram and an equation. I do want you to do that. I know it's a pain to draw number lines, but there's value in drawing them to make sure you're drawing them correctly, subdividing correctly. So do draw the number lines, write equations, and solve.
Wait for all